What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and if you need that physical QWERTY keyboard because you're a texter, you're an emailer, you're whatever, you've got a couple of different options. If you're on T-Mobile and you want Android as well, you have the T-Mobile Sidekick 4G launched this week for $99.99, and it's available in a couple of different colors, at least on the side hinge over here. Then you have the T-Mobile G2, another cool device on T-Mobile. If you remember back to our reviews last year on this, keyboard's absolutely fantastic. Now the Sidekick 4G, the newcomer, but still by far one of the best keyboards on the market. So which one should you get? You know, if you're a T-Mobile customer, you're thinking of migrating to T-Mobile, is the Sidekick all grown up? Is this new form factor the way to go? Or should you stick with the G2? We're going to try to find out that and more in the Dogfight. T-Mobile Sidekick 4G, HTC, or T-Mobile, depending on what you want to call it. G2 starts right now. Okay, so here they are, the T-Mobile Sidekick 4G, the T-Mobile G2, both awesome devices, both with awesome keyboards, and both running Android 2.2. Now this is running a Samsung version, kind of a TouchWiz and kind of a Sidekick thing meshed in. It's a Sidekick specific version of Android 2.2 with social media features, things like that. And then you have the T-Mobile G2 that's running a nearly stock build of Android 2.2, save for a few T-Mobile applications, things like that. But let's give a quick rundown of the specs here. You have 1 GHz Hummingbird processor over here, so same processor that's used in the Galaxy S line of devices. 3.5-inch display, front-facing camera, 3 megapixel camera on the back without a flash, so you don't get the flash capability. So for people that take pictures and want to use it for photography purposes, probably not the best device for you. But it's 3.5-inch display, all in this little form factor, and then the hinge versus old Sidekicks where they used to flip up, this hinge pops up. Now the rumor that was going around, and I haven't actually confirmed it myself, was Danger or Sharp owned the patent to the swiveling Sidekick, no pun intended, so when Samsung started to make this Sidekick they couldn't use or utilize the same design. Now you have this 5-row QWERTY keyboard here, one for numbers, one row dedicated to numbers, one row dedicated to symbols, and the space bar, and then over here you have 3 of your typical Android buttons along with something called Jump Key, which brings up your most recently used applications. You also have an optical trackpad over here, and then you have the volume rocker, power button, 3.5mm headphone jack there on the left side, and then you have micro USB charging port, and then your which I don't know why it's focusing out there, sorry about that, camera shortcut button on the right. T-Mobile G2, on the other hand, 800 megahertz next generation Snapdragon processor, and this is right as the next generation ones were starting to come out on retail devices, so that was kind of a big thing at the time. So 800 megahertz next-gen Snapdragon processor, 3.7-inch display, so it's a little bit larger than the Sidekicks, but you have your typical 4 capacitive buttons and an optical trackpad. This was intended to be, if you remember, the replacement to the G1, which debuted in 2008. On the left side, you have the volume rocker, micro USB charging port. On the, I think I said right side, left side, sorry. On the right side, you have your camera shortcut button, and then on top, you have your 3.5mm headphone jack and power button. Now this utilizes HTC's new, well not new anymore, but their Z hinge, where instead of it just flipping up or doing something like the Sidekick or the typical smartphone, it flips up in a Z form factor. Now you can see how it's doing that, how it's flipping up and over, which makes for an easy transition while you're flipping like this. You can see, easy to flip, easy to open, easy to close. The problem is when it's open and you're upside down texting in bed or anything like that, it doesn't stay open, so that could be a problem for some. Metal battery cover, 5 megapixel camera on the back with a flash, and then you can see on the back here the battery back in the back, and then you have this metal battery door, which is a nice touch. So overall, aesthetically, you know, it's going to be a personal thing. I would say the G2 looks a little bit better on the aesthetic front. I like the combination of metal here on the front, the metal battery cover, and then all the stuff, you know, just the gray cover on the, or the gray paint rather. This is certainly nice though, and you know, it's kind of funny because the Sidekick to me looks like it's grown up. You know, the target demographic of something like this, teenagers, people who like to text message, and you know, to me, I can see this even, you know, without the user interface, I could see this being used in a corporate environment. Simply put, it just looks better to me and looks less like a teen device and more like a device for more, you know, all demographics. So both of these are running Android 2.2, but like I said before, there's a custom user interface on the Sidekick. This is the first Sidekick to run Android. All the others ran a proprietary user interface, and it's running Android 2.2, and it's kind of a mixture between Samsung's TouchWiz user interface, if you remember that, you know, from the Galaxy S devices, and kind of a Sidekick, more playful interface. You'll notice some of the icons are different. But let's talk about what you get in the box. You get accounts and sync, All Share, Amazon MP3 App Pack. You do get a lot of apps installed on this device out of the box. Cloud texting, which is a cool thing, we'll get to it, but basically it allows you to text from your computer, and you can send it through your device, so you don't have to sit here the entire time and use the small keyboard. Drive Smart, great program. Let's go over through here. Group texting, Highlight, which is a T-Mobile program, Samsung's Media Hub, Media Room, T-Mobile's My Account, My Device, Speed Test, T-Mobile Mall, T-Mobile TV, let's see, Think Free Office, Universal Composer, Visual Voicemail, and Wi-Fi calling. This has both Wi-Fi calling and hotspot capabilities, so if you're ever in an area where T-Mobile service isn't fantastic or isn't the best, you can switch over to Wi-Fi calling and make calls on your home network or on a friend's network. Now, don't get too excited. That, hang on one second, sorry, I don't know why that keeps zooming out, or drifting. Don't get too excited about that because it's not, the minutes aren't free. You still have to, it still goes through your minutes. You're not getting free minutes on Wi-Fi. It's still a cool feature. Now over here, that has that capability as well, and it had that capability since the recent software update, but you don't get any out of the box. You get very few T-Mobile installed apps. Most of them are Google apps, like, we'll take a look here, Finance, for example, and Goggles, and let's see, Google Translate, Google Sky Map, things like that. Now that's all well and good. It's nice to have the Google apps, but you can't uninstall those. So when you go into applications to uninstall, they're all there out of the box. So you may not have any use for Finance, or may not have any use for Google Earth, or anything like that, but you can't uninstall those. Now it does have Wi-Fi calling and mobile hotspot capabilities as well, so you can do the exact same things on the G2. Let's take a look at the keyboard on both of these devices. Take a look here and see. Like I said, stock build of Android, so it looks just like you remember and you expect. It has a couple of different keyboard options out of the box. It has the Android keyboard and it has swipe, as you can see there. So we can do that. And I have to give T-Mobile credit. They've really done a good job both with this and with the recently announced G2X. They've done a great job of bringing stock Android over onto those. I mean, if you look at the Desire Z, which is this, but in Europe, it has HTC Sense. And then if you look at the G2X, which is the Optimus 2X in Europe, it has LG's user interface. So they've done a really good job there. Now this one has a 4-row QWERTY with a dedicated row for the space bar, but the numbers, or letters rather, are island keys. They're a little squishy, but overall I think this is a great keyboard. Crickman Fox is a fast animal. And I like the way, these keys just feel natural. The placement's very natural, and you can see they're nice and large and easy to use. Now you have these quick keys here where you can assign different programs. Billy Bob, for example, I assign that as a text message. So whenever I click that, I send a message to Billy Bob. And then you can assign one here. Let's just say Google Translate. So whenever I assign quick key, or whenever I click quick key number 2, I jump right into Google Translate. So that's a pretty cool feature. You can add a widget to the home screen, so you can click it from there when the device is closed and you don't have the keyboard out. But all in all, pretty impressive keyboard there, and on screen as well. Now it's a little bit easier to type on screen with this one thanks to the fact that it's a 3.7-inch display. So you can see, bring up the stock Android keyboard here. Not too hard to type on, but then again, I have big fingers, so 3.7, not too bad. I think the sweet spot is 4 inches. 4.3 might be a little bit too large for people, but 4 is the sweet spot in my book. Now let me open up Memo here because I don't want to show off text messaging, because I did. If you remember in the unboxing of this device, I gave away the phone number, and people are still texting like it's nobody's business. So let me jump over here and see. We'll do, hey there, how are you doing? The Quicks, I mean, just incredibly easy to type on. Quick Brown Fox is awesome. So incredibly easy to type on, no issues with that whatsoever. And island keys there as well, but very tactile keys as opposed to kind of the squishy keys of the G2. These are very tactile and easy to use. So just to point out, this has Samsung's Media Hub, which they're trying to create this content ecosystem, and what started out as a good thing is kind of frustrating now in my opinion, because you have the Android market, which is kind of the ultimate content ecosystem. Well, not with media, but with apps and with things like that. Then you have all of these different things that are coming out, like T-Mobile wants to have their own app store, and like if you look at the G2X, you have like 3 different app stores of all various types on the device, and I just feel like that's the wave of the future, and it's kind of kind of frustrating. But this has Samsung Media Hub, which allows you to rent, to download movies, things like that. So I mean, it's a cool feature. And let me download the update here while we're thinking about it. Good. And then we'll go back in and see what it's like. So the Media Hub allows you to download or rent and or buy movies. And we'll see here. Let's try to get back into it. There we go. You can download or rent TV shows. You can download other things. So we can look at like Black Swan, for example. Rent it for $4, own it for $18. It's pretty expensive, but at least you have it on your device as opposed to in DVD form or Blu-ray form. So you can do that, put it on the device, and more. So a nice little feature from Samsung. And there are a lot of things like that on the device. There's T-Mobile's App Pack. Here's another example, richer experience. You can build together T-Mobile Mall. We'll open that up. Here it is, T-Mobile Mall. You can see ringtones, caller tunes, applications, and games. So it's like another app store on the device. So we can go to communication, for example, T-Mobile video chat, touch to talk, Skype, you know. So you click on it, you download it from the Android market, it just routes you to the Android market. So it's this kind of weird thing where you're like, I don't understand the medium. I mean, I do get it, it's promotion for T-Mobile, but still, I mean, it's kind of a useless medium in my opinion. I think it could put it to better use, put the money to better use.